The empty Magnum bottle spun quickly across the slick marble table, making a grating, unpleasant sound. Everyone held their breath, their eyes glued to the bottle's neck. Slowly, it stopped. The bottle pointed directly at Jen. Ooh, jackpot for the campus queen. Truth or dare? Jen let out a throaty laugh, waving a dismissive hand. Truth. This princess has nothing to hide. Sam rubbed his hands together with a malicious grin, his eyes bouncing between me and Jen. He was clearly looking to stir up trouble. Fine, let's go with the juicy one. Jen, what is the most despicable, most heartless thing you've ever done in your entire life? The question dropped into the room like a stone. They were all adults who did not have a few dirty secrets, but this was a game, and the point was the shock value. Holden, who had been resting his eyes, merely lifted an eyelid at the question, offering no objection. In his mind, Jen was merely spoiled and occasionally petty, but certainly not capable of true malice. Jen let out a small burp, her gaze suddenly slicing through the crowd to land on me, where I was standing in the corner pouring water for a guest. A vile, triumphant smile curled her lips. The alcohol had dulled her judgment and amplified the jealousy and spite buried deep in her heart. The most despicable thing you ask? Jen stumbled to her feet, her finger aimed directly at me. It was 7 years ago, the night of that huge thunderstorm. I went to Holden's shabby little rental. At the mention of 7 years ago, my hand convulsed, and the hot water in the carafe nearly sloshed over the rim. Holden's body, too, stiffened almost imperceptibly. Jen burst into hysterical laughter, as if recounting the most hilarious anecdote. Holden was in the shower, his cheap phone was on the table, and guess what? This pauper scout texts him, and guess what she said? She wrote, Holden, please save my dad, I beg you. I only need 50,000. I'll be your servant forever. TSK, TSK, so pathetic, so utterly desperate. I thought Holden is so brilliant, he cannot be saddled with this kind of trash. He belongs with me in the big leagues, not dragged down into the mud by some bottom feeder. So, she paused for dramatic effect, her eyes gleaming with a manic spark. I did Holden a favor. I deleted her frantic text, and then I texted back from his phone, just 2 words, drop dead. You should have seen it. The pauper actually waited outside in the rain all night. I watched her from the window, soaked like a drowned rat, watching her sink to her knees in despair. It was the best laugh I've ever had. Seriously, did not I do a great thing? If I had not done that, how could Holden have shed that anchor? How could he have become the man he is today? Holden, you should be thanking me. Jen's voice was cut off by the sharp sound of shattering glass. Holden had crushed his wine glass with his bare hand. The fragments were deeply embedded in his palm, blood mixed with red wine, dripping onto the pristine white tablecloth. A horrifying tableau, but he seemed completely oblivious to the pain. He was staring intensely at Jen, his normally cold eyes now streaked with crimson veins. What did you say? Jen, still basking in her own cruelty, had not registered the danger. I said I helped you get rid of that poor. Shut up. Holden violently overturned the mahogany coffee table in front of him. The deafening crash made Jen scream, the shock sobering her instantly. She looked up in terror at the man towering over her, who looked like an enraged lion. Oh, Holden, what is it? I was just kidding. Holden stumbled to his feet, closing the distance between them. Are you saying that 7 years ago she did not run off with Dean Kincaid, the rich guy? She did not text me saying she was leaving because I was poor. Are you saying she was in a hospital? She was begging me for help. His voice grew louder, culminating in a raw, animalistic roar. Jen was so terrified by his presence that she sank back onto the sofa. Holden did not even spare her another glance. He spun around, his attention locked on me in the corner. Scout. He choked out my name, a sound like a sob tearing from his throat. Is she telling the truth? That night, were you waiting for me? The entire room was paralyzed, everyone too terrified to even breathe. I set the water carafe down. I looked at the truth that had taken 7 years to surface, and my heart felt frighteningly empty. Too late. It was truly devastatingly too late. I pulled a tissue from my uniform pocket, walked over and held it out to him. Mr. Riss, wipe your hand. It's bleeding everywhere. It's dirty. Holden ignored the tissue. He lunged and grabbed my wrist. Answer me, Scout. Tell me this is not real. I looked into his bloodshot eyes and smiled, gently. And what if it is? Holden Reese.